Alrighty, and we are live. Welcome. My name is Isaac. I am the co-founder of Pet Summits and the host of the Pet Care Report. The mission of this show is to connect pet parents with the world's leading pet experts and brands to discover the latest trends, innovations, and essential products for optimal pet care. Today's live episode of the Pet Care Report, we're very excited to have two special guests, the founders of Four Legger, Melissa Boland and Angela Copple. Melissa and Angela, they are the founders of Four Legger, and their mission, that Four Legger is a mission-based business created to develop dog shampoo and grooming products that meet strict standards for organic certification required by the USDA National Organic Program for Pet Parents, striving to give their dogs the best life possible. Four Leggers products are made for pet parents who understand that ingredients matter. And today we're going to be discussing why choosing Safe Shampoo is integral to support your dog's skin and long-term health. Eventually got that all out. Thank you so much, ladies. We feel very privileged to have both of you on today. I think what you guys were spoken before off air on multiple times. And you guys we're fortunate to have you guys as a sponsor of our Detox Summit and recently the Dog Nutrition Summit. And when I've learned more about what goes on and then what you guys have done to create your products is really, really important I've learned so much from it and actually question everything. I remember, Angela, the first time we started talking about it, why you guys created Four Legger. It really starts you to question, it's like, okay, what is these little ingredients on this shampoo? And there are so many issues that our dogs are being exposed to that's causing them problems, and a lot of the times, there's some really simple fixes. So thank you and welcome. We're very privileged to have both of you on board today.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
So just to kick things off, when it comes to shampoo, what are the three things pet parents must address in order to make sure they're making the best choice to raising a healthy dog? Or is it related to shampoo? Or like what are the best things?
Well, I think probably the best thing would be to realize it's not just shampoo that you need to get right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you have to get right if you really hope to have the best chance of raising a healthy dog. And it involves the externals that we do, so the shampoos and the conditioners and grooming sprays and all of that stuff we put on them, but it's also what's internalized in them as well. So whenever we get on the phone talking to somebody, it doesn't take very long for the conversation to turn to, well, what are you feeding your dog? And what's your vaccine schedule and those things. So it really, in my mind, it comes down to those are the big three. I mean, you have to get the food right. Absolutely. If you want to have good gut health and you want to have, a healthy dog from the inside out, you have to get the food right. You also have to have what I would call a holistic based vaccination protocol so that you're really knowledgeable about what you're allowing to be injected into your dog with, some of those have so many chemicals that, they're in their system forever. Once they're in there, they're in there, and it's very difficult to get them flushed out. And then on top of that, you have to get the externals right. So you have to get the grooming products. You have to get what you're allowing them to be exposed to externally, like flea and tick products and, all that pest control kind of stuff as well. And it's easy to fall off the edge and think, okay, well, if I get the food right, then I'm in good shape. It's like, no, you have to get the food right, but you also have to get the other two right if you really want to give your dog the best chance of having the most healthy life that they can. So that's kind of, we recently did this pet nutrition summit, and I'm sure a lot of people were wondering, well, what's a dog grooming product doing on a nutrition. And it's because it's all linked. It's all part of raising a healthy dog. They're not little robots. We can't, just differentiate one thing and ignore everything else. They're living, breathing beings, and we have to approach them very holistically and with the mindset that not every dog is the same, in the same way that not all people are the same. Not everybody's going to respond to everything the same way, and dogs are no different. So we can't just expect them to be pigeonholed into a little, oh, I got a pet dog, so I'm going to do this and this and this, and it's all going to be okay. It's really not, unless you stop and are very deliberate about what you are going to allow to come into your dog's life.
And I don't think a lot of people understand the connection between like itchy skin or bad skin health and food, right? So if you have a dog that really is eating a lot of carbohydrates, so if they're eating a kibble or something that has a high carbohydrate count, that's much more prone to having itchy skin and much more prone to having, yeast and gut bacterial issues. And those come out on the skin, right? So your dog scratching and scratching and scratching, look at what you're feeding them, look at what you're putting on their bodies. And if you can solve those two things, you can solve a lot of the itchy skin issues. Look at the treats, look at the food, and then look at the products that you're actually putting on them. And chances are you're going to find that cause for most of that itchy skin. I mean, allergies do exist, but they're probably more rare than we give them a lot of credit for. And seeing people switch over to, immunosuppression or trying to suppress the immune system to control allergies is really messed up thinking.
Yeah, I spoke to another company and a couple of days ago, and talking about allergies, and that was actually kind of what they're saying. It's, well, it's actually skin issues. That's the problem. And it's like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good point. And depending on, and food is so related to our skin. Like if I do like my chocolate peanut, and I normally I'm a little bit naughty, and I'll take it and just throw an antihistamine in there. But I know, but I'm consciously aware of that I'm causing the problem. But like my body just so reacts to certain foods, and our animals are the same. And when you're just giving the medication, you're just taking care of the symptom, not actually getting to the root cause of the problem. And our dogs are exposed to so many things, both in the environment, the foods and the toxins. And it's like and like you were saying, Angela, it's like sometimes we think they're allergies, but there are so many other things that are going on for them, which can be causing these the flare ups, to say it.
Well, the skin is the common denominator, between the internal mechanisms and the external mechanisms. And so if you have a rotten gut, or, poor gut health, or toxins that are trying to get out, from the liver or from the kidney or whatever, those things are shed through the skin as well. So internal things are shed through the skin to try to get them out. And then if you're covering them up with a bunch of toxic goo on the outside, then you've just compounded the problem, because the skin is now trying to keep things from penetrating into the internal organs and come into contact with the immune system. So, I mean, you really just, there's a great burden on the skin, which, there's a reason why it's the largest organ of, not just dogs, but humans too. It takes all of that surface area to try to keep all of the toxins, both internally and externally, away from the immune system, so that your dog or yourself can not just be constantly battling different ingredients and suffering the consequences of having those in your environment and in your, kind of almost becoming into your genetic makeup. We're so exposed to them now. We just don't even know really how much that has just become a part of us.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good thing that you just brought up. Talking about the products that we put on ourselves and our animals, and how our skin is trying to release toxins. But then when we put like for deodorant, for example, and the antiperspirant sprays, that they stop from spraying, from sweating, but then it's actually it's stopping the body from doing so. Doing what it's supposed to do, which is releasing the toxins, doing its job. And I guess that could be, is that essentially like if some of the products out there that people would be using on their dogs can stop them from their dogs from releasing toxins? Is that accurate?
It is accurate. I mean, you kind of have two real issues if you look at it that way. So the first is that there are some shampoos that can block the pores, right? Or stop the pores from being able to do what they do, right? Release sebum and help restore that healthy coat on a dog. And then you have kind of the opposite side of it, which is in some cases, if you have toxic chemicals and you're giving a dog a bath, you're putting warm water on them, which helps open the pores up. And then you're allowing for these toxic chemicals to get inside the body, which is where they can cause organ system toxicity. So it depends on, when you're looking at every single ingredient, and then you have some ingredients that increase skin absorption or increase the ability for those chemicals to be absorbed into the organs and cause that organ system toxicity. And when you look at cancer rates in dogs, skin cancer is the number one cancer in dogs, right? There's no shocking there, right? It's the biggest organ, as we've already said. You also see, they're being exposed to so much externally. So you have, not just the flea and tick stuff, but you have, yard stuff, people putting toxic chemicals in their yards, people putting toxic chemicals for mosquitoes or whatever. And all of that stuff is assaulting the body. And the body is trying to figure out, how do you process this? And what's happening is it's causing cancer, right? It's causing organ system toxicity. It's causing hypothyroidism. It's causing all of these health issues that we kind of sit back and we've not made this direct connection between some of these things, right? We don't have a study that goes out and says, if you use this shampoo on your dog every week or every 2 or 3 weeks for the duration of its life, it will cause XYZ. Studies like that don't exist, right? And the reason they don't exist is because there's so many chemicals that we're exposed to. It's impossible to do that kind of isolated study. But it's interesting because if you look at the African American community and you look at some of the ingredients in the hair products that are being marketed to that population, there are now direct links between cancer, ovarian cancer, all of these things and those ingredients that they're putting on their heads. And so, you're starting to see some of this actual scientific data that supports this. And, unfortunately, what's happening is, this big wake up call that, gosh, all of these chemicals in this chemical clash, you can't use on your body anymore. Those hair straighteners and this, that, and the other, you can't use on your body. But when you look at dogs, those studies don't exist, right? And it's so difficult for us to sit back and say, if I use this chemical on my dog over the life of my dog, that stuff builds up in your dog's system. You don't just wash them, rinse it off, and it's gone. It builds up in their system over time. These things bioaccumulate in your dog's body, and it bioaccumulates in your body. And so over time, you're just, stockpiling all these chemicals inside your body. And at some point in time, there's going to be this trigger that says, all right, cancer gene just ticked on, or, hypothyroidism or some other kind of effect that, is a pretty serious health issue. And, we have a dog that was diagnosed with GME, which is a brain encephalitis disease, a really serious disease. And, one of the big things that a lot of the holistic vets kind of look at for GME is vaccines. And, we have really, we've gone to the other end of the spectrum, right? And so we're here trying to help people understand that these serious diseases that dogs get, skin cancer, problems with the thyroid, everything from GME down, is stuff that we're putting on them or in them. And we really need to wake up and realize that we can't be doing that anymore, as they say. We really need to focus on the ingredients and the quality of the ingredients. We at Four Legger go through great lengths to make sure our ingredients are safe, natural. We lot, every essential oil that we buy by lot number. So, we really do the studies to make sure everything is safe and non-toxic. And then, every pet parent can trust what we put into the bottle because we trust it on our own dogs because we've done the hard work. We've done the research.
Yeah.
Well, and we did the extra step too of going, through the actual certification process of the National Organic Program administered by the USDA. And, the amount of work that goes into that alone is just unbelievable. And nobody does that. I mean, literally less than 2% of the entire pet grooming market is actually certified organic to any extent. And for some, that even just means, okay, they've got a whole line of shampoos and maybe one of them is certified organic, but they try to present their whole brand as being certified organic, and it's just not the case.
Or the other thing that really gets me is they'll put a certified organic ingredient in an otherwise very toxic product, right? And that just slays me because
you just ruined a great commodity, limited commodity, by drowning it in a bunch of toxic goo.
It just feels like you've totally wasted this, absolutely incredible ingredient by mixing it with these horribly toxic things in your effort to market to a community that can be so misled by adding one good ingredient to a bunch of toxic goo.
And that's where the whole the whole organic is so hard for consumer, whether that be for ourselves, the food and the products that we buy, or is it for our animals? And then what's classified as organic, and sometimes just the tomatoes being washed in organic water, they can then market it as organic tomatoes, but they're still been sprayed, or they get sprayed afterwards. And I guess what I don't know if this is true, but if a company has an organic certified product ingredient, can still market their product as certified organic?
No.
Well, here's the interesting thing about all of that, right? So if you really are USDA certified organic, your ability to use the phrase organic is severely limited. But if you just aren't actually certified organics, like if you don't make certified organic products, you can use those terms willy-nilly, and there's no police that are going to come and fine you for doing that. And, it's really messed up, right? Because the USDA did a study years ago where they asked people, if you see the word organic in marketing, do you think that product is USDA certified organic? And 80% of the respondents said yes.
Yeah.
So when you look at the USDA organic program, you would assume then that there are, people out there, writing up fines left and right for anybody who misuses those words. And there isn't. And that's incredibly unfortunate because you have this whole, a lot of people look at that word organic as a marketing tool. And for us, it's not a marketing tool. For us, it's a way of life. We commit to being USDA certified organic because those products are the safest on the market. And, water actually can't be organic. So, water just isn't organic. You can't grow it as organic. You can grow a tomato as organic or not. But, unless it's USDA certified organic, you could market it as something and it doesn't necessarily have to be, and there's no one who's going to fine you. Now, on the other hand, if you are USDA certified organic and you misuse that terminology, you can be fined. So it's really messed up that, you're only policed if you actually are organic.
That is mind blowing, and I guess that's the world that we're kind of in. And I think the more people know about about these or about what to do and what to look for, the more educated that the consumer is, and that's essentially really quite important. Miss,
A
you got
lot
to
of
say something?
people, sorry, Isaac, a lot of people are more educated than they think they are when it comes down to it. I mean, it's really easy to get lost in all of these, unpronounceable chemical sounding names and, trying to keep the science of it all straight. But really, and that's why Angela and I are such good partners, because she is a scientist. I am not a scientist, but I'm very practical. And so, we kind of balance each other out that way. And so, for the people that start to feel really overwhelmed, it's like, well, I just can't understand all this. I don't know what to look for. I don't understand what all this means. If you pick up something and it's pink or green and it's a bottle of shampoo, then that's all the visual cue you need right now. There's no natural ingredient that's going to make a pink or a sky blue shampoo. So something, you might not have connected the dots. But then if you also then take off the cap and smell it, well, if it blows you into the next room because it's so overpowering and smells like bubble gum, then there's fragrance in it, and that's not healthy for dogs. And if you look at it, the physical characteristics of the shampoo itself, and it's really thick, then it's probably got ingredients added to it that are synthetic based, that are making it thick, which is more preferable for people. It's easier to manage if it's thick. And if it's shiny, then it probably has some other additive in it that is synthetic based. And so people have a better baseline of just practical knowledge about how to assess a shampoo product than they may realize, because it is really easy to get caught up in all of the words and things that you can't, the scientific study and the this and the that you can't. And those things are very important, but let's face it, most people are not going to do that much of a deep dive into it, and we have. And so where we are kind of in a unique position to represent both the science of it and just the practical side of it. What's the easy way to just at a glance? Is this shampoo good? Well, that one's pink, that one's blue, this one's green. Probably not a good choice. And that by itself is enough to eliminate it, because you don't want artificial colors or, colors that are created by some kind of synthetic chemical process. You don't want that. So if it's an unnatural looking color, it's almost like, if you went to the store to buy an apple and you found a purple apple, well, you probably wouldn't buy it, because you'd think, well, something's weird about that.
Yeah.
It can be much more simplified than what it is sometimes. And so we're just as interested in helping, to not only understand the science of it, but also just understand the easy way to kind of differentiate just kind of at a glance or at a smell of a product or how it feels in your hand. And you can get a pretty good idea, because if you've ever handled really truly certified organic shampoo like Four Legger, it's very thin, it's very watery, because we don't use any kind of synthetic thickeners or additives that are going to beef it up. And part of that is because we're not allowed to, in order to meet the standards of the organic program. But the other part of it is, it would almost certainly have to be a synthetic ingredient. And any time that you can avoid a synthetic, you've made the right decision.
What about for dogs that smell? Right, my little Frenchie's stinking at the moment, and my mum's complaining at me. And I've got like a decent product now, and what the idea that you guys gave me the other week was like, okay, if they go to the groomer, like take this shampoo with them. What about for the dogs? Like if the dog's smell is like, and you're having that fragrance in there, do you guys have a product, or what do you guys recommend for that?
We used to get we used to get calls. Well, is it okay for me just to spray my cologne or my perfume on my dog? Well, no, it's not okay to do that. So that led to us creating our line of deodorizing sprays, and they're very simple. I mean, they're purified water and essential oils, and that's basically it. There's a tiny bit of oil in there just to kind of help keep the liquid combined, all of the ingredients combined. But it's a simple product that's using a natural ingredients, it's essential oils, and because of that, there's no use limits on it. I mean, if your dog stinks and you need to spray them every day, that's fine to do. If you need to give them a little spritz even more than once a day, that's fine to do. Again, I've got a stinky dog too, Isaac, and she smells like a locker room most of the time. And and I know she's a rescue, so I don't know entirely what her whole history is, but I'm fairly certain that dog had at least 3 full sets of puppy vaccines before she was 1 year old, because the original breeder, or wherever she came from, they went through it, and then she went into rescue and went through it again. And then I'm fairly certain that the second rescue that she wound up in did the same thing all over again. And so this dog has 3 lifetimes worth of vaccines in her little body, and there's no way that she's ever going to get those cleared out. And that's just part of the problem. But having a stinky dog is a challenge for sure.
Yeah, my niece, her dog got skunked the other day, and she called me up and she said, well, I used 4-Legger shampoo on our dog who got skunked, and he smells amazing now, and I'm like, well, of course, and, I think that's part of it is our shampoos really do work, I mean, you can take a smelly dog, a stinky dog, you can give them a bath, and they are, especially over time, you're going to see their coat improve. And, we also see that when, you're transitioning a dog over to 4-Legger, over to a true organic shampoo, you see this transition period that it takes for their coat to really kind of come back into its naturally healthy skin. And we've organized the website. I don't know if you can share my screen, but we've organized the website where you can go and look and see my dog's, has a very healthy skin and coat. They suffer from bacteria or yeast issues. They're just really dirty. They, skunked, they're a puppy, whatever. And you can go in and select which shampoo is the best fit for your dogs. And so, just going and checking it out, you can see which ones we highly recommend for that kind of skin issue. And we've tried to make it super simple that you can find which one is the best match for your dog's skin. Obviously our lemongrass and aloe is incredible for stinky dogs. Melissa Bay's Bailey and our cooling shampoo, which is highly effective for her because she does have yeast issues over time and likely because of over vaccination. And, Dr. Blanco has her eating a lot of broccoli, which she loves. So, yeah, I mean, we pretty much have a shampoo for everything. And, because our shampoos are very safe, if your dog is incontinent or has issues and needs to be bathed more frequently, that's no issue at all. You can bathe more frequently with our shampoos if you need to do that.
So I guess that we're currently leading into the ingredients, why do ingredients matter, and what should pet parents be looking out for when they are buying products? And why does 4-Legger stick out? And what are some of the key things that you do see in other products that people may not be aware of?
Well, yeah, as a scientist, I can say that I was pretty upset when I discovered the all natural and supposedly organic shampoo I was using on my dog was not all natural and was not organic. And it really wasn't until I flipped the bottle over and really started reading it that it said all natural, all natural surfactant or all natural cleaner or something. I mean, it was really vague. I was like, well, what is that? What chemical is that even made out of? And so I started
plant-based or derived from plants.
all natural plant-based ingredients, and the full list of ingredients as an ingredient that you would call an ingredient wasn't listed. And I was just like, well, idiot, as a scientist, what are you doing? And so, we really kind of focused in. And I think one of the first things that we did when we decided we were going to move forward with four-legger was we made a list of all the ingredients that we would never have in any of our shampoos. And I mean, that list of ingredients that we wrote down, really was the start of the pet shampoo ingredient database that we built out. And, it's an incredible resource for pet parents, because what they can do is they can come here, and if they're curious about an ingredient, they can go and they can just select it. So, if you click on the S's, you're going to see some of these ingredients, and we've tried to make it super simple, right? So SD40 is synthetic. It's not safe. It can't be organic. And here's all the things that are bad about it, right? Or we're going to say shea butter is great. It's natural or organic. And here's some more about it. And you can really go through the pet shampoo ingredient database and look and see really quickly, just by looking at the back of the bottle, comparing it to the ingredient database and seeing, is it synthetic? Is it safe? Can it be organic? Or is this company marketing lies to me, basically? And, I'm kind of a real black and white person, right? So if somebody tells me something's organic and it isn't, I'm done with them. So, and I think that that's how most pet parents should look at it. If it really is organic or it isn't organic, and can you trust their marketing? Can you trust that company with the health of your dog's skin?
How do we get hold of this link? Because I think that's really important, because especially for people that may not be in America and they're wanting to shop. And
this is the culmination of, Angela's too modest to talk about it, but I mean, seriously, when I was going through my cancer treatment and we were, the vision of four-legger didn't just, pop into my head overnight. It kind of emerged over time through the course of my treatment and the loss of, my dog from cancer during that same time, and just trying to figure out, well, what in the world can we do that is going to make a difference going forward? We got to, turn this into something positive. And so that literally led into a 17-month or so long deep dive into ingredients. And it started, as Angela said, with that, initial list that we came up with. But then the more we went into it, and then just looking at different companies' ingredients lists and all the different thousands of dog shampoo manufacturers there are, and looking at all those ingredients, it's like, this is absurd. And so during COVID, when that started, everybody was shut down and nobody was moving, nobody was going anywhere. And so just in cleaning out stuff, including my computer, I found all this data that we had, and that Angela had done so much of the legwork of compiling. It's like, this is doing nobody any good sitting in the computer where nobody can see it. So we created this website. It's separate from four-legger. It is created by four-legger, but you can't go on the pet ingredient database and buy any four-legger product, because, we're very committed to being objective about things. We're not, we do obviously try to sell our products because we know they're better, but that's not the point of this. This is just a tool that everybody has, and everybody should have access. We don't charge for it. It's just something that is information that is necessary and needed, and compiled in a very simplified way, so that you can just look at an ingredient at a glance and get the same 3 criteria on every ingredient that you look at, which is whether or not it's synthetic, whether or not it's safe, and could it be certified organic. Those are the three criteria. And then depending on, the answers to those questions, what in scientific research has been linked in terms of health issues or health risks to that particular ingredient. So you can know. I mean, you can sit at your kitchen table and line up all your bottles in front of you and just start going through them and toss them as you go. Just have the garbage cans sitting there next to you, and just it just makes it very easy and very clear for people to do a massive amount of research in a very short amount of time, just because it's all compiled in one place for you.
Yeah, I think that's very handy, and we'll have to get the link off you guys after this and share it to the audience. I think
it's super simple. It's the Pet Shampoo ingredient database. So Pet Shampoo ingredient database.com, and just click on the letters and go and look them up. And when you look at some of the ingredients that we first started out with, like DMDM hydantin is a slow releasing form of formaldehyde. And, it's often put in there as just a preservative, or they don't have to list what's in it. And I think that that's one of the other reasons why we're so outspoken about ingredients and the safety of ingredients is there's no regulation in the pet market that forces you to list all the actual ingredients. So you can put, all natural surfactant or all natural plant-based ingredients, or, just say preservative, or just leave it off entirely. There's no, there's no regulation in the industry that forces you to list all of the ingredients that are in the bottle.
Unless you're certified organic.
Right. Unless you're certified organic, like we are, you don't have to list everything that's in the bottle. So, and I think that that's another really important thing to know is, when you're developing a synthetic shampoo, there are certain things that have to be in that. I mean, it is a detergent, right? So it is a detergent-based shampoo, and there are certain things that have to be in a detergent-based shampoo in order for it to work or in order for it to be safe on the market. And one of those things is preservatives. So it's likely to have something like a DMDM hydantin or something like that, a slow releasing form of formaldehyde or something like that in it that is extremely toxic and, could absolutely bioaccumulate and cause other health effects. We also, including cancer. And, we also look at, some of the ingredients that may be on the more safer side and may not be organic, but might be an environmental toxin. So it might hurt the environment. And so we've ranked it as not as safe because, it might not necessarily be one that's been linked to any bad health issue. It's not linked to organ toxicity or something like that. But at the same time, it is not friendly to the environment. And so when we've done that, we've made a note under the Learn More, just to let you know why we've ranked it the way we did and what was the reasoning behind that, because it's important for people to understand, you can look at all these chemical names and you can look at all these chemicals, but until you really understand how they work and what they do, you might not understand the long-term implication of using them. And
are there any of your products that, like, if you have like really bad skin issues, because that's one of the things that we hear a lot, that you use to help essentially reduce the inflammation?
Well, the peppermint tea tree shampoo that we have, we've had that one for a couple years now, and that one has really become fairly widely recognized in the holistic veterinary community as the natural alternative to medicated shampoo. And medicated shampoo is full of stuff that you really don't want on your dog unless it's just an absolute necessity that they have that for a brief time. But the peppermint and tea tree, it is excellent at not clearing, but helping to control yeast conditions. And of course, this is in conjunction with other things that you're doing, like cleaning up their diet and making sure you're limiting the carbohydrate intake. So much of the food is just full of carbohydrates, and dogs nutritionally require a very, very, very low percentage of carbohydrates in order to have a balanced diet. And if you've had even 7th, 8th grade biology, you might remember, I didn't, but you might remember that when you eat something that is high in carbohydrates or high in sugar, that converts to sugar when it enters the body. And in that situation, then sugar feeds yeast, sugar feeds cancer, sugar feeds inflammation. And inflammation, I mean, that's like the core source of every disease pretty much known, I believe. That's my personal opinion. But inflammation is a horrific thing. And if you get that anywhere in your body, it's like Angela was saying earlier, that can become a trigger. It can reach a threshold, and that's going to trigger something else in your body to turn on some disease process that you're then going to have to deal with. So, and dogs have even less tolerance for carbohydrates and sugars and things like that than humans do. So, particularly with dogs that have an inflammatory process or a fungal process, which yeast is a fungus, a bacterial thing, peppermint tea tree is an excellent shampoo. And if it's a situation where the dog's skin is just so sensitive that they either don't have a tolerance for the essential oil at that point, then you might need to step back one step and you just use the unscented shampoo for a while to help get the skin under control, and then add in the peppermint tea tree shampoo that's going to then give other ingredients that will help to continue to improve the condition of the coat and the skin.
Yeah, and our lemongrass and aloe is like the go-to for so many people with skin issues. I mean, and I'll be honest, I use it every single day in the shower. I use the lemongrass and aloe dog shampoo. I kind of go between some of them, but I always come back to the lemongrass and aloe because it's such an incredibly skin healthy shampoo for both dogs, humans, and everybody. In fact, I use it for so many things. I wash their dog beds with it. I actually steam clean the carpets with it. I mean, I pretty much use the lemongrass and aloe for a lot of stuff.
What's so good about lemongrass and aloe?
Lemongrass just is a great clean scent, and it's that's part of it. But on its own, at just a basic ingredient level, lemongrass is a natural antifungal, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory ingredient. And every ingredient that we choose has a purpose. I mean, it's not just because, that smells good, or, this, is a pretty color or whatever. It has an actual benefit to contributing to healthy skin and coat for a dog. So, and it is just a bonus for the two-leggers. We get a lot of people all the time that, they'll call and kind of cheekily say, well, I hate to admit this, but I use this too. And it's like, you have no idea how many two-leggers there are that are dipping into their four-legger stash of products. And, it's like Angel says, I do too. I mean, it's what I use for my body wash and shampoo. I have it in foamer pumps at the sinks in the lavatories for hand soap. And it's, why do you want to have that other junk around? It was kind of a pivotal moment when I was still, trying to clean up my own act during my cancer treatment. And it occurred to me, well, my dog shampoo is now safer than the stuff I'm using. So I'm switching.
What about fleas? Like if people, their dogs get fleas, like what do you rec? Because I guess at some stage in their life they're going to get fleas. What do you recommend?
And most of the essential oils that we use have a pest deterrency benefit. Some are Like, for instance, cedar is particularly good for mosquitoes and ticks. Lemongrass is particularly good for fleas, but it's also good for mosquitoes and ticks. It's just better for fleas. So, I mean, they all work towards the more common pests that seem to, torment our pets and, sometimes even people. I'm one of those that if I go outside, the mosquitoes from 5 miles away make a beeline for me because they see the big smorgasbord coming.
Oh,
Our orange neem is really good. Yeah,
Yep.
and we also make an organic conditioning rinse, and it's interesting because it's really good for fleas. And it's basically an apple cider vinegar base, and you can spritz that on and then rinse that off, and then we have people who use it even before the bath to spritz that on, and then use it after the bath as a conditioner.
And it's we made that for a very specific purpose, which was to help dogs that have been using non-organic shampoo most likely have a residue built up on their coat of synthetic ingredients that have just never been washed off. And every time they're bathed in something that's not organic, they get another layer and another layer and another layer. And so when a dog switches to organic shampoo like Four Legger, our shampoo is going to clean that mess off. And it might make your dog's coat feel different to you than what you're accustomed to. But it's part of the process of getting through what we call it a transitional process to get all of that stuff off the coat, all of that synthetic and artificial ingredient residue off of their coat so that their own natural coat can emerge, which is healthy and not covered up with stuff. And, some dogs, you never even see it. The people, the fortunate ones, in my view, are the people that notice a difference. And, they'll call and they say, well, I don't understand this. I used your shampoo and my dog's coat feels waxy or it feels stiff. And I'm just not used to that. I don't think I can.
Yeah, and that's when they rinse it off
And
in the bath. So they rinse the dog off in the bath and they feel that waxy kind of feel on their coat.
Well, and even with some dogs, it even can linger, after that too. And it's a learning curve. It's part of the process. And the longer that you stick with it, most dogs, like I say, you never even see it. The lucky ones are the people that do, because then it's a real eye-opening moment for them when they see, wow, there is stuff on my dog's coat that I had no idea was there until I used this product, and it basically revealed that it was there. And so, I'd say for the dogs that do show that kind of coat change initially, usually 2 or 3 baths and you're done with that. And then you've got your dog's natural coat unearthed and unburied from all of that. And you don't have to worry about that being on their skin or their coat or being absorbed into their system anymore. So I always really, try to help people understand how fortunate they are to have actually seen that, because it's one thing to just hear somebody say, oh, well, your dog's got a whole bunch of synthetic goo all over their coat because you've been using XYZ shampoo for so many years. But when they can actually see that it's there because they've used an organic product that has brought it out and revealed it to you, then you have some working knowledge and you can understand a little bit better why ingredients matter so much, because you've basically allowed your dog to be immersed in something that has built up on their coat and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, and probably blocked their skin pores and probably stopped, the sebum production and that healthy skin from doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's really, really important and great information to learn. Something that's my mind's been ticking over to send some information back to my mum, which she's going to love. So other than what you just said, is that when you're switching over to a traditional from a traditional to organic, is there anything else that we need to know that's really, really important?
Well, just getting used to the physical characteristics of organic shampoo is really important because, like I said earlier, we don't use any kind of synthetic thickeners or ingredients that are going to help it, be blow up lathery, like some companies will do. And so for some people, the biggest hurdle is just the consistency. So if you can kind of just go into it knowing, okay, this is going to be a thinner, more watery kind of a product. So I need to be prepared for it. Number one, coming out of the bottle so it doesn't wind up going down the drain before you know it. And then to also understand that the mechanism that really turns organic shampoo on in terms of lather is water. Organic shampoo is naturally concentrated in the sense that there are no extra ingredients in it that are, filler or anything like that. And so you don't need very much shampoo. You need, like when I bathe Bailey, maybe 2 teaspoons of shampoo and then a lot of water is all it takes. And if you get the water to shampoo ratio right, you're going to have more lather than you know what to do with. But if you don't use enough water, then it's not going to lather up the way you think that it should and the way that you're used to non-organic shampoo lathering up, and you might be disappointed.
So how do you do that? Do you put it in your hand or do you put it in the bath or like what?
The first thing is I really start with a wet dog because then you've got a lot of water present already. Yeah. And I put it a little bit in my hand or just right directly on her back where she's already really wet down, and then just start working it in. And that's really all there is to it. The more you agitate and the more that you make sure that you're using enough water in the first place are the two biggest keys to getting, number one, great lather, and number two, getting a cruddy product away from your dog just because you think that it might lather better. And then, I had another thought about that, but
we also sell a foaming bottle.
There you go.
I knew that's where she was going.
Thank you.
You pour the shampoo into the foaming bottle, and when you push the dispenser, it mixes air into the shampoo, so it comes out like the consistency of shaving cream, and then you can put that on the dog directly.
You don't waste anything. It's the best tool ever when you're going through the learning curve of getting used to the physical characteristics of organic shampoo, because you're not going to waste anything at all. It's going to prevent that. And you're also not going to use more shampoo than is necessary. And most people are astonished at how long a bottle will last when they use it properly and, get water into the equation in the level that it needs to be, or use the foamer bottle. I mean, we joke sometimes, say we should have just made like little 2-ounce bottles, because somebody goes and buys a 16-ounce bottle and it's a year before we hear from them again. Because it just lasts for a long time if you really understand and take a few pointers yourself, kind of go into it knowing there's going to be just a bit of a learning curve here, and just work through that, and then you'll have learned something new yourself, and your dog will be the one to benefit the most, for sure.
So I guess the next thing is we just need to get you guys into Australia. Well, thank you both so much. We've gone a little bit over time today, but I think this information is super important. Like we said when we started off, the largest organ in our dog's on our body and our dog's body is the skin, and what comes into contact most of the time is the the products that we use, and a lot of the products that we can be using without our knowledge can be causing damage to their skin, to their coat, and the dog's coat is actually we've got some built-in mechanisms to help them. I'm not even saying this correctly, but the dog people out there, you know what I mean. But the dog's coat we're actually destroying it by using the wrong products. If before we finish off, like what would be like your number one tip that you would want to recommend people if they buy your product or they buy some if they're in other countries and they can't buy four-legger?
Because of availability.
But just what's the number one tip like that they should be looking for when it comes to shampoo?
I'd say find four-legger, right?
Yeah. Do whatever it takes to find four-legger.
Yeah, I mean, we have a wholesale program, and we do ship overseas for, we have distributor in Canada, and we're looking for distributors in other countries. So absolutely, we can hook you up.
We have a pretty big retail outlet in the United Kingdom. We have the Canadian distributor. We have a distributor in the UAE, and a couple in Singapore. So, I mean, we're kind of in little niches all over the world. And if worse comes to worse and you just don't know, then my best recommendation would be whatever it is you're considering, go to the pet shampoo ingredient database and look up the ingredients in that and learn for yourself if that's really something that you want to be using on your dog based on what you uncover about those ingredients. And that's available to anybody in the world. It is in English, so you I guess that might be a barrier for some, but that would be my best tip. If you can't find four-legger, it'd be nice to say, and I hope that I see it sometime during my lifetime, that there are more organic shampoos than non-organic shampoos out. And we've got a long way to go to get to that. And, there's room for more organic companies for sure. We just need to support that growth and support people that are really trying to do the right thing and to do the best thing. And so we are always very transparent and very happy to share whatever information that we've learned along the way, and help with recommendations or whatever, just kind of point you in a direction if we're not in a country where you live or whatever. But definitely just go use the pet shampoo ingredient database. That is a fantastic tool and resource that is available to anybody.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. We're going to leave the link to your site in our Facebook group. I think the more people that can get hold of your product for themselves as well, by the sounds of it, and for their dogs, and that's going to, like when we talked about in the beginning, the longevity and the use of the products is going to be able to assist them, assist our dogs to live a lot happier and healthier lives. So thank you so much, Angela and Melissa, for your time today. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Isaac.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.